What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily Channel with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into the Boston Celtics NBA offseason. Of course, we're still on location, live from vacation. We've come to you from Paris, we've come to you from Amsterdam, and now we are in a tiny little village in Germany. But that's not stopping us from Celtics content, to the chagrin of my wife. But that's okay. We're out here. And hey, do me a favor. If it's your first time hanging out here at the Celtics Daily, hit the little subscribe button, get the notifications up. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, every time we drop that content, as we're closing in on 2,000 subs. That's right. In just a short amount of time, 2,000 subs. But let's get into it. So if you've been tuning into this content for a while, you probably remember this, where I said, hey, Peyton Pritchard probably going to be in the starting five for the Boston Celtics. And everybody said, no, it's Anthony Simons season because we traded Drew Holiday. Anthony Simons can score 20 a game. Well, guess what? Reporting just dropped out of Celtics camp yesterday that it is Simons that is going to be vying for sixth man of the year this year, not Peyton Pritchard, because he will be in the starting five. That's right. Let's get into some of the reporting here, as I'm going to share. This was from our guy, Grant Afstead, who covers Dallas, and from the Fast Break Journal. But here we go. Here's the quotes. The Boston Celtics appear poised to elevate Peyton Pritchard into the starting lineup while using Anthony as the high-scoring option off the bench for the 25-26 season, if he remains on the roster. The Celtics believe Pritchard has earned the starting job through the years of study development. His familiarity with the system and readiness to handle expanded responsibilities made him the preferred option to open the season. Now, this isn't a guarantee that PP is going to be starting 82 games, playing 35 minutes a game or anything like that. I think if we're being honest, it's just like a ceremonial starter. I think no matter what, whether it's Simons or Peyton Pritchard getting the start, both of these guys are going to play like 28 to 32 minutes. I do think it is worth noting they said that if Simons is still on the roster, because I do think it is still very much on the table if Anthony is going to be playing for this Boston Celtics team long term. Again, there's still a hair over the first apron and the luxury tax. They want to get out of the repeater tax, right, so that they can come back next season, Tatum healthy, which we're going to talk about in a second, and then have the roster flexibility to get cooking. So I'm curious what other people's thoughts are now that this is settled in a little bit. Now that we know that PP is going to be in the starter, like we get a better feel for what the starting five is going to look like, right? We'll have Pritchard at the 1, White at the 2, JB at the 3. I guess Chris Boucher hit the 4, and then Nehemias Queta at the 5. I don't know how many wins. We're going to talk about the schedule here in a little bit. I don't know what that looks like. You'll have Simons coming off the bench as a six man. You got Sam Hauser off the bench, and then you get the slew of young guys and weird bigs, right? Xavier Tillman, Amari Williams, if he gets the call up, Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman, Jordan Walsh. All of those guys are going to get an opportunity to kind of figure out what their role is going to be with this team. But I do think it's a good sign to get a feel for who the starting five is going to be right now. And honestly, I mean, from the beginning, I've been team PP. I thought Peyton makes the most sense. Like when you take Tatum off the floor or Jaylen Brown off the floor, even Drew Holiday off the floor, he basically averaged 18, 5, and 5. He's a better rebounder, a better defender, a better three-point shooter, in my opinion, than Anthony Simons. Not the same kind of playmaker. I think Anthony has done a much better job like facilitating offense and making offense happen. But Pritchard's never been in a role to facilitate the offense, right? When he comes in as the sixth man of the year, he's just like a firework, right? You just you light it, let him fly out there, get the three ball flowing. That's kind of it. That's his job. Now we get to see him in a little bit of a different role, and maybe can become more of a playmaker and less of just a firecracker, firework. I don't know Katy Perry. I don't know. But that looks to be the starting five. Curious to see how the Simons camp responds to this. Again, Anthony Simons, like whether he wants to be in Boston long term or not, the key for him, this is his chance to go get a bag, right? He's making just under $30 million this upcoming season, but he's playing for a new contract. So whether it's with Boston or for somebody else, he needs to show, like, if he's going to be on a good team, a good competitive playoff caliber team, he's not going to be a starter. He's just not. He's not like he's a good player, but he's like a great guy to bring off the bench on a good team. If he's on a bad team, a la the Portland Trailblazers, he's going to play 30 minutes a game and chuck. But I think you want him more in like a Lou Williams type role. That's my take on Simons. Be curious how you guys are feeling about it. Are we pro PP in the starting five? Do we think this is a mistake, or do we think this doesn't matter at all? Speaking of not mattering at all, I'm just going to go ahead and overreact to Tatum getting healthier. I don't want to be that guy that's just like following Instagram stories, but you see Tatum's in the gym already. Tatum's no longer in a boot. He's like sick. How deep into rehab is he? A couple months? That made it sound like a drug thing. He's out there getting his grind on, and seems to be in better shape. And I still think like the video we did maybe 2 weeks ago now. There's a couple of different scenarios, and I think if I had to bet, there's like a 99% chance Tatum's not playing this season. But as we look at the schedule in a little bit, if the Celtics somehow find themselves in like a top four, top five situation, we're in February. We're coming out of the All-Star break. Vibes are good. Jaylen Brown's playing MVP level. Peyton Pritchard's a fringe All-Star. Derek White, all defense. Maybe we find out one of these bigs can actually ball out. Nemias Queta turns into the Portuguese prince that was promised. If that is going to happen, and you're telling me Tatum's going to be pretty good shape, you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, who's actually scared of Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell? Well, I don't think anybody's actually scared of OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns. Like, there is a world where they're, 15 games over 500 and Tatum comes back all of a sudden. And now there is a clear path, not a foul, but a clear path forward to potentially come out of the Eastern Conference. I do think that's like very wishful thinking. That's pie in the sky. I think if we're being honest, the Celtics team is going to underperform a little bit or underachieve, if you will, or maybe it's not even underachieving with the roster that they have, but not really going to be in like serious playoff contention. And then you just put Tatum on the shelf. You let Jaylen Brown get rest. Don't play him 82 games. Don't play Derek White 82 games. See what you have with the young guys. Let Joe Mazzulla earn that contract extension, right? How can he cultivate young talent? How are these young guys going to develop? All that stuff. I think that is the direction that I foresee the Celtics going. But who knows, man? This Eastern Conference is crazy. We're going to look at some of the schedule right now. We're going to go over like the first 20 games or so and then try to get a feel for where you think they're going to land. And I'll be curious to hear your feedback. Let's get into the schedule here. And just a reminder, this is going to be, we're on vacation. So these are going to be like quick hit videos. We'll get in and get out. Celtics, man, no opening night game, right? No Christmas Day game. For the first time in over 10 years, they're not going to be playing on Christmas. There's a rivalry week. Rivalry week? Think about the Celtics. They have rivals with who? 76ers, the Knicks, the Lakers. I mean, the Warriors, I guess. The Mavericks, if you wanted to do a finals rematch. The Celtics aren't even a part of rivalry week. How can you do that with one of the most storied franchises in the history of the game, in the history of sports? You're not going to put them in rivalry week? Let me hit you with the rivals week, all right? Here's who made the cut. San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets. That's going to be a matchup. You get the Lakers against the Nuggets. Fine. Rockets and the Pistons. Is that so? Did the Rockets Pistons get to rivalry week just because they have brothers on each team, Asar and Amin Thompson? I mean, I guess, sure. Pacers Thunder, fine, finals rematch. Cavs Hornets, I'm sorry. The Charlotte Hornets made rivalry week and the Celtics didn't? What are we doing? You get the Bucks and the Thunder, fine. Knicks and Sixers, Warriors and Wolves, Lakers and Mavericks, Warriors and Mavericks, Lakers and Clippers. You tell me we couldn't get a Celtics game in there? We got a couple other stats here for you about it. Oh, one other thing that's kind of nuts here. I'm going to show you this. I don't know how well you're going to see this on my phone. This is nuts. So this is the watch guide. All right. I'm sure you guys saw this getting tweeted out. This was the watch guide for the NBA season. Sunday, ABC, NBC, Peacock. Monday, Peacock. Tuesday, NBC, Peacock. Wednesday, ESPN. Thursday, Prime. We got to go over to Amazon. Friday, Prime. Friday, ESPN. Saturday, Prime and ABC. Like, how many different things we got to subscribe to? All right. What's going to be more expensive, the Celtics luxury tax or my freaking bill, my Apple bill for the subs that I got? And that's not even including League Pass. If you're someone like myself who doesn't live in Boston, so I don't get like the local broadcast of Scally Brini. All right. I got to pay for that through League Pass. Like, what's that going to cost? It's crazy. But let's go over some of the schedule here. I'm going to go over through like the first 15 or so games. You tell me where we're at. We open the season October 22nd against Joel Embiid, except probably not. Let's bet on that. Is Joel Embiid in street clothes for game 1 of the NBA season? So you got Embiid and the Sixers on the 22nd. Then they go on a 3-game road trip right out the gate. They've got the Knicks, they've got the Pistons, and then they've got the Pelicans. Now, if you're through the first 4 games, you win opening night at home against Philly, sure. Then I think you probably drop 2 of those games. New York and Detroit out the gate, it's pretty tough. Maybe you steal one in Detroit, who knows? But then New Orleans is going to be dog due. So it's 2-2 through 4. Then they get Cleveland at home, let's say 2-3. Philly on the road, 3-3. Houston on the road, I mean, Houston at home, 3-4, Jazz at home, and then Washington. So what if we're like 5-4 through 9? Then they got back-to-back games in Orlando. It's probably at least one loss. Let's say 6-5. The 6-5 through 11, and then at Philly again. They play Philly 3 times in the first 3 weeks of the season. That's a little too much Embiid for me. But like, let's be honest, Embiid and Paul George probably not playing in either of these games. And then they hit up Memphis, which who knows what you're going to get with Memphis. The Clippers, which will be tough. But then 2 games at Brooklyn, Orlando again, Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland. I like again, this East is so bad that I don't think it's the craziest thing to say the Celtics stay like 500 and 500 in the East, man. Like that's somewhere between 4 and a 6 seed, I think. And also, according to ESPN, let me make sure I get this information accurate. According to was it NBA? No, what do they call that show on ESPN that I don't watch? NBA Today. The strength of schedule, the Celtics have the easiest schedule in the NBA next season. So I don't know. I'm trying not to talk myself into it too much, but where do you guys land on this? Where are we feeling? How's our vibe right now? How's our Celtics vibe? All right, let's get to the last thing on the list here. Ooh, oh my God, I messed it up. I just need to hear from you guys. How are we feeling? We don't have any specific comments to pull from for the last videos because your boy's on vacation, and I'm going to get in so much trouble if I'm just in the comments for every video. We've got another little week out here, so you'll get some sporadic videos, but make sure you're continuing to fire in the comments, subscribe in there. What's the thing you're most excited about after seeing the schedule reveal? Like, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? I have a feeling a lot of the comments are going to be upset that Anthony Simons is not going to get the start over Peyton Pritchard, but to be determined. To be determined. Also, could just be false reporting. Who knows? But I do think there's still a couple more shoes to drop this NBA offseason. We know the Celtics are going to make one more move, whether it's Hauser, Simons, I don't know. We know they're making at least one more move, and we know there's still going to be some more Giannis drama. I don't know if that's going to include Boston, but there's going to be some Giannis drama. But that's going to do it for me. I appreciate everybody hanging in with us while I'm on a little vacay. Just, keep hitting the subscribe, keep hitting the likes. Hope the Wi-Fi was okay from Germany, and we'll see you later this weekend.